So, ladies and gentlemen, no intro for this video. I'm just going to get right into it and say my piece. This is very likely going to be the last video I do on this Nintendo Switch 2 subject, because I'm tired of talking about it. I am. But every time I see people come out with this sort of misinformation campaign, it does bother me. Now, it doesn't bother me because you're a Nintendo bootlicker. Oh my god, I've heard so many of these headline-chasing retards, people like Legacy Killer XD or HD or whatever the hell this stupid name is, and all of these other people. I've watched them spread either misinformation or things that are true that are presented in the most salacious way possible, all for attention and clicks and views. Because, as I've said before, they're not good enough to captivate an audience on their own. So they have to generate ragebait headlines and slop tuber filth to get people to notice them. Today's topic of conversation is the GameCube controller for the GameCube NSO. And I'm sitting here looking at this going, who on earth looked at this and said, you know, I think this is going to be my primary controller for Metroid. This is going to be my primary controller for Mario Kart. No, the purpose of this controller, as with the N64 controller, as with the Super Nintendo controller, as with the NES Classic controller, is to allow you to feel the nostalgia of playing on that controller. But it is unreasonable to demand that they make this compatible for modern games as well. Like, understand, the C button over here, that's not another analog stick. That's not another analog stick. Like, I understand that there are people that don't like Nintendo. They don't like them. They hate them, in fact. With a fervent passion, you have made that abundantly clear. I think you're retards. I think you're emotionally stunted freaks that are picking things to be outraged by that are not anywhere near as absolutely abominable as what Sony does and other companies do, but you've chosen your issue. You've put your flag in the ground and you said, this is my issue, and I am going to be as obnoxious, unreasonable, and retarded as humanly possible. So, that being said, there is so much misinformation about the Switch 2. And again, I reiterate this. Some people have asked me, why do you do this? Why do you care about this? I hate Nintendo. Why are you defending them? Because it's not about Nintendo. Do you understand? You have an army of people with channels several thousand times bigger than mine, all repeating the same bullshit and making the gaming community look pathetic, making them look foolish. Complaining about $80 games is something that everyone can get on board with. That's like a 90-10 issue. But it's all the nitpicking and making things up and exaggerating things that makes all of us look ridiculous. There are perfectly valid and legitimate things to criticize and complain about. But all of these freaks that are desperate for attention and relevance and, oh, can you believe what a major L from Nintendo that this GameCube controller can't be played on every game? What? You can't break the controller in two and use them both as mouse pads like on the regular game? Oh, L Nintendo. Listen, you freak. You absolute freak. No. Just like you couldn't use the N64 controller on every game. The controllers are very clearly packaged and presented with the Nintendo online service that represents that particular era, that particular console, because they want to create an experience that is as similar as possible to what people remember, which is the whole purpose of having an online virtual console, is that you are able to play with the controller, you're able to play the same sort of game. That's why they don't really do the HD versions. I mean, they may up-res the graphics, but they want to present the game as it was at the time, more or less. Now, obviously, there are some upgrades, and they do make some changes, like state saves and stuff like that. But I think that them releasing these controllers is cool. You can choose to buy it or not buy it. But people are acting like if you have a choice to buy something, that you have to buy something. And if you don't like something, it can't be just that you don't like something. It has to be that this is a nefarious plot from a greedy company. You people are LARPing at this point. Like, you had a legitimate grievance. $80 games is too high. If you had just stuck with that, it would be fine. But let's take a look at some of the other complaints and issues. Like, this Nintendo profile basically does a rundown of all of the misinformation because they had to. Because there was so much bullshit. Switch 2 runs all NSO GameCube games in higher resolution and 60 frames per second. That's interesting. I didn't know that. Games on keycards are tied to the cartridge, not your account. They can be sold or traded. That's interesting. I didn't know that either. I didn't know that they could be sold or traded. I thought it was basically once you put it in the cartridge slot, that you downloaded the game and basically it verified it as a digital purchase. But apparently no. Apparently it is tied to that thing. So when you take it out and lend it to somebody or sell it, apparently it goes with that too. That's an interesting thing. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but it is interesting. And it's not as diabolical or nefarious on a first glance as what it was being billed as, which is you buy a physical copy and then you're stuck with this thing that's basically useless once you download the game. Switch 2 editions of NS1 games can be upgraded for free with NSO membership. This I knew about Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild. But I didn't know that that was true of other games. So that's a $20 savings right there. Because the upgrades are $10. Which is another lie. That the upgrades were going to be $20. Like, do you understand why I get so absolutely pissed off and frustrated? I understand that a lot of people don't agree with my take on this. They don't like Nintendo. I'm going to pirate the games. Fine. Go wild, go crazy. It's perfectly fine. I mean that sincerely. It's fine. You don't want to hear about Nintendo, you don't like Nintendo, all that stuff. That's perfectly okay. But do you at least acknowledge that the level of bullshittery in the gaming community has been embarrassing from this? That your side of things has gone way too far? Now, I'm not even a Nintendo glazer. I'm just somebody who likes to play video games. I like Mario Kart. I like my consoles. I play my PlayStation just fine. You know, I have a PS5. I'm not a Nintendo fanboy. You're a Nintendrone. I'm just not a retard. It's a consumer device. Like, I have many consumer devices. I'm not simping for them. I'm furious because of the amount of misinformation and bitchery around this, where it's impossible to trust anything because everyone is going into business for themselves, lying, misrepresenting, exaggerating. There is no truth anymore. You can't trust anything that anyone is putting out, including Jeff Keighley. Not saying that Jeff Keighley is some barometer, but what I'm saying is both the independent forces and the industry insiders are both fucking wrong on a level that is absolutely insane. So, that irritates the shit out of me. It's not even about this. It's about getting things wrong, no accountability, no double checking, rage bait bullshit. Get the video out there to get as many views as possible. Get as many people angry, because there's a bunch of people that hate Nintendo. You can hate Nintendo, you can love Nintendo, you can say it's the worst company, it's the most greedy company, you could say it's the best company. Doesn't matter. Lies are lies. And misinformation is misinformation. And there's been a ton of it. And how on earth can you respect yourself? How on earth can you respect yourself if there's this much bullshit out there and you're just lapping it up? You're regurgitating what you've heard. I think that there should be more duty of care for content creators. I think people like Angry Joe putting their stupid, ugly face in this weird, contorted thing to get people to click on it and putting $90 question mark exclamation point. What I'm saying is, I think that gamers should expect a higher standard from the content creators that provide content. And there are perfectly legitimate things to be angry about, to be frustrated by. But by you taking every little issue to make it all about, the GameCube cards are only digital. You put it in, and then once you download it, that card is basically useless. I just paid $10 extra for nothing. Well, no, you didn't pay $10 extra for nothing, because there is no $10 discrepancy. Do you start to see my frustration here? Does it make sense? Am I getting through? I genuinely want to know. Am I getting through? Do you understand? Do you understand that it's not about being a Nintendo or defending Nintendo? Sure, I think that Mario Kart is going to be worth it for 80 or 90 or $100. But do you understand why this is a problem? Why this person has to come out with like a goddamn rap sheet for why a lot of the narratives are wrong? Like, that's not okay. Having that level of dishonesty damages everyone who talks about games. Switch 2 standard games are $70, $80 USD premium. Okay? That makes sense. Both digital and physical. Makes sense. I think that $80 is too much for a game like Mario Party. For me, $80 is too much to really pay for Mario Kart, but I would pay it if I have to. But already from day one, Nintendo is giving me a $30 discount with the bundle. And that's sort of where I'm at. I'm looking at this whole thing. And the reason I've done so many videos is because this has bothered me in a very interesting way. I don't care that people shit on Nintendo, but it's the vociferous nature of the people making the claims, the audacity of the exaggerations. It's just this amorphous, gross ball of bullshit. Like, you can have a criticism like, hey, Nintendo, what the hell are you doing not putting that $10 game that's like a tech demo in with the thing? Like, you could criticize that. I don't think that's necessarily a big deal because, no one's going to buy it. For $10, some people may say, hey, let me just try it. But no one's really going to buy that game. It's just going to be there. So I don't really view that as a big thing. And apparently, I've been told that Japan as a culture, and Nintendo specifically, they don't really believe in giving things for free, exactly. So apparently Reggie had to really push for the Wii U to include Wii Sports. Apparently that was a big, huge thing that he had to really push harder because they wanted to sell it separately. Didn't realize that. But this entire thing, every little issue that could be a valid complaint is added to the blob, and then it's hard to tell what's true and what's not. The latest one is that Breath of the Wild, the Switch 2 edition, isn't coming with the expanded pass. Now, did Nintendo ever hint or say that it was coming with the expansion pass? No. But people just assumed it because it was slightly more expensive. Now, that's a perfectly reasonable thing to articulate that you're frustrated by. That if we're going to be paying, $60, $70 for this game through Nintendo, then yeah, it should come with it. It's a $20 expansion. I think that would make the price more palatable to some people. They would still complain, but it would be at least more palatable to some people. I think that let me take a look real quick. I believe there's a Breath of the Wild Adventures edition. I think it's called Special Edition. Okay, yeah, it doesn't really help. Yeah, it doesn't really help. Yeah, no, it's too expensive. I'm looking it up right now. I mean, I guess I could do more research on it. I could do more research on it, but Switch no game. Yeah, I don't think that, because this is apparently a copy. It's called Explorers Edition, and apparently it comes with the game and the DLC. If I'm reading this correctly, am I reading this correctly? Does it come with the DLC? It might not. This could be wrong. It comes with a bunch of other stuff. I don't know if it comes with the expansion pass. It comes with a book. Okay, it doesn't say anything. It doesn't say. So yeah, so that's basically just a complete and total waste. Yeah, that's for the book and for other things that has nothing to do with that. But anyway, I would recommend still going on eBay or Amazon, finding Breath of the Wild. You can find it for about $45. Buying that copy and then doing the $10 upgrade would put it at $55. And then $20 expansion, yeah, that's like $75. Yeah, it's not great. Yeah, not great. But at the same time, it's interesting. So for me, like, okay, I have a copy of Breath of the Wild, right? I have, or I'm going to have, the Switch 2 NSO. So it's going to be free for me, which isn't an excuse. But if people want to understand a little bit more about why this sort of thing doesn't faze me as much as other people, is because I look at it based on what is actually going to be the cost. Not what is advertised as the cost, but what is actually going to be the cost to me. And you can still buy Breath of the Wild for Switch 1. You get the upgrade for free with NSO. Like, paying $20 for the entire thing seems reasonable to me. But I don't think that buying it new, I wouldn't have that opinion. If I were buying a game as old as that one at this point, brand new, for $70 plus $20 for $70 plus $20 for the expansion, that would be a $90 game, and yeah, that would be a lot. So I acknowledge that. I admit that. That's something that is absolutely valid to criticize. But unfortunately, the way it's being presented and with all the other stuff that it's being surrounded, it sort of just washes out the legitimacy because of how much bullshit there is. And I just think that that is a disservice to the people that actually want to get things accomplished rather than just farming for content. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it. Thanks for watching. See you next time.